Like, we set out to the village cage area with a few hunters or enemies to help. We set out in the resort to go give hope to people who left their loved ones in our hometown and lost their loved ones. How many things were throughout our mind storing off approximately to her car jointly.
When we finally reached the earthquake zone, we quickly got out of the car. It didn't smell of stone earth. It smells of sadness here. Sounds of excavation could be heard. Machines working on the collapsed building stood off.
Curtains flying from dilapidated houses, smashed armchairs, beds, carpets, photos that maybe someone can't bear to look at. Taste the children have bought with dreams, torn clothes, and many more sad images all around.
My heart was beating faster with every sight I saw. A few pieces of paper caught my eye. It was a photograph where people, house, whole lives were destroyed. Maybe the last time they laughed. The thing that upsets me the most was the toys I saw.
A dusty blue notebook carved in the stone caught my eye. When I pushed the stone and reached the notebook, I first brushed the dust, then skimmed the page. Now that I didn't have to read, I threw it in my backpack and kept walking through the debris.
After 3 days of hard work, we were on our way home. Inside the car was the silence of the emotions we experienced and the pain we witnessed. We were spiritually tired but happy to be there. The notebook I found in the rubble on the first day and threw into my backpack. I took the notebook out of my backpack and started reading from the first page. It was the notebook of a 15-year-old girl. There were traces of tyranny, violence, injustice, and ruthlessness on each page.
He was young, but how big were his thoughts? This little girl whom we lost before she was an adult left a deep impression on me. I made a decision on behalf of this girl whose name I do not know. Re- I want to realize her wishes and what she couldn't do. Making a kid happy was never a bad thing. With this thought in my mind, I set myself a purpose.
Finally, after a long time, I was able to sit at my desk and take the notebook in my hand. I opened the first page and started reading. He wrote, while I was walking home after school, I saw the children kicking and knocking over the food containers of animals in the side street I passed. The sight of animals that hurt me. I was intimidated by the fact that the children were older than me, so I couldn't help the animals.
On this page, the building against animals drew attention. I got up from my desk and went to the nearest pet shop. After I bought as much food as I could afford, I started to fill out the food containers I saw on the road. I loved the animals I came across. Then I went home and sat at my desk again and started reading the other pages.
Days passed and I reached page 12. Every day I was fulfilling a new dream that he couldn't fulfill. On the page I read today it was writing, today I said how happy my grandmother was talking on the phone with her friend. I placed two slices of the fragment cake of my mother made on a plate and sat next to her and asked her who the friend she was talking to. She also told me that she was the friend who she used to spend time with when she was in high school. She was sighing deeply. I realized how much she missed those days. I was very upset by her loneliness now. I will spend more time with my grandmother from now on. On this page, it was seen how lonely your elder actually were. I took action with the idea that came to my mind. First, I bought a few box chocolates and flower bouquet from a shop. Then I started walking to nursing home. I saw the old people sitting in the garden of the building and headed that way when I pulled up a chair and sat next to them. They asked me who I was and why I had come. I said that I come to relieve their loneliness a little bit. Their happiness was visible on their face. I held out my hand towards them and we started chatting. A few hours later, I got up and left, promising to visit them often.
Again days passed and I reached the 20th page. I ran my eyes over the lines. I recorded them one by one. But this time what I read in the lines seemed to have settled inside me more it read. Today I saw a friend of mine crying alone. I was very upset by his state. I went and sat next to him and asked him what was wrong. I told him that could pour out his heart and gave him confidence. He started to tell me what he said shocked me so much that it was very painful to know what people had reached this level of ruthlessness.
He lost his family in a traffic accident a few years ago. A few children who thought it was all a joke comment made fun of him for not having a family. I will be respectful. These lines, which were very painful for me, were the saddest page among the pages I have ever read. I closed the notebook and placed it on the table. I want to visit children who have lost their parents. I bought a box of candy from the shop on my way. I walked and walked. Finally, I came to building whose walls are painted with chirping flowers and sky pictures, which looks heartwarming from the outside but contains many stories inside. To the orphanage, I watched the children running around in the garden laughing. I went inside so all eyes were on me. Then I went to room and sat in front of the boy who was reading a book. His face was reddened. I talked to him for a long time. I got in trouble. I told him to hand over the candy box I bought and gave it to his friends. I hopped tightly and left the building.
I was filled with anger, astonishment, and amazement at every sentence of the pages I read one by one. I read the last pages and closed the notebook. I took a deep sigh. I thought how ruthless individuals are. I discovered many places. Maybe I touched a soul that nobody cared about. I became life. I gave meaning to my life.
I gained a lot thanks to this notebook that I found among a pile of dust in this world that we passed by looking at the dusty pink side. In fact, we have a lot to learn in this life if we place kindness at the center of our world. One must first show kindness to himself. If a person can respect himself, he will also be respectful to society.
We should to seek mercy too far. Compassion can actually be found right next to us in a thank you, a healthy hand, a hug, a helping hand, an animal, a human, etc. in many places. This world belongs to all of us, so we must put an end to evil now. Kindness is contagious, laid in effect the whole world.